The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers tease that Hope will be on cloud nine over her upcoming nuptials. She'll push aside any doubts and concentrate on how close she feels to Liam. Hope will think things are going to be different this time. Bill hasn't manipulated anyone into tying the knot and Steffi gave them her blessing. Hope won't see any reason for this wedding to cause drama. She'll probably expect smooth sailing, but a big mistake will bring rocky waters. Hope's decision to invite Steffi and A+1 will cost her. She was probably hoping Steffi would walk in with some new man on her arm. Hope might have viewed that as an insurance policy on Liam standing by her. Unfortunately, Steffi will bring her scheming mother instead. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Taylor will agree to attend, but that's only because she'll have a goal in mind. She won't think Steffi knows what she's doing here. Taylor will feel like she has to intervene before Steffi loses the man she loves and the father of her child. Steffi will assure Taylor that she's made peace with this outcome. She'll believe she can watch Liam and Hope begin their future together. Steffi will likely warn Taylor not to make a mess, but that's wishful thinking. Brooke will also be concerned about the chaos that might be brewing. It turns out her intuition will be correct. Taylor is indeed cooking up something big. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Taylor will reach out to Liam. She'll want to talk him out of marrying Hope, but Brooke will catch her in the act. That'll spark a major confrontation at the worst possible time. It looks like a shouting match will break out and derail the wedding anyway. Brooke's attempt to stop the sabotage could inadvertently make matters worse. However, another bachelope wedding seems like overkill. Perhaps Liam will settle everyone down and get the nuptials back on track. B&B may not be ready to let Liam and Hope's relationship end just yet. There's probably a lot more story to play out before a steam reunion happens. Of course, Brooke and Taylor's conflict could continue long after Liam and Hope say I do. They may make life pretty messy for their daughters in the coming weeks. In Brooke's cabin, Hope and Liam kissed by the fire in the candlelit room. Liam wasn't sure he should be there again because of Ridge. Hope didn't think Ridge would throw a party, but she said that Ridge was respecting Steffi's wishes. Liam responded that Ridge was protective of his daughter, and Liam believed he'd be the same way. Liam touched Hope's stomach. Hope said she and the baby were lucky to have Liam in their life. To Hope and Liam, it felt like a new era. Hope said she couldn't feel better about their future. He asked what she saw in the future. Hope replied that it was more like a feeling. She felt a sense of peace for them. All she'd ever wanted was a stable, happy life with the man she loved. She knew Liam would be there for her. He said they'd be there for each other. Hope and Liam began kissing and taking off each other's clothes. After they had sex, they curled up under a blanket by the fire. It seemed like deja vu to Liam because they'd done it the last time they'd become engaged. Hope believed it was different because the last proposal had been about healing the past. The new proposal was about the future and their child. Hope always wanted their lives to be full of good surprises. Liam said he could make that promise immediately without vows. Hope was grateful to have Liam in the child she'd always wanted. Liam decided to have a talk with the baby. He put his ear to the Hope's belly and pretended to listen to what the child was saying. Liam replied that they couldn't want to meet the baby, either, and then he and Hope kissed. At Bill's house, Bill had toy cars spread out on the coffee table, and he revved up his favorite one. Will sat on the sofa, engrossed in a video game on a handheld device. Will didn't flinch when the car zoomed off the table. Bill asked what was wrong and said Will loved to play with the cars. Will replied that he liked video games. Bill offered to learn how to play the video game, but Will said it was a one-player game. Bill suggested that they shoot hoops. The video game made a loser noise. Will exclaimed that Bill had made him mess up. Marching off, the boy complained, "This stinks." Later, Will was back to tapping on the gaming device. Bill offered to watch a movie and then recalled how much fun they'd had playing stock forecasting in the past. Will wanted to go home, but Bill told the child that he was at home and had a room upstairs. Will asked when he could see his mother. Bill said they were having a boys' night. "I want to see Mom," Will replied. At Katie's house, Thorne and Katie stood in the candlelit living room, staring out the window at the moon. They talked about Will being at Bill's house for the night, and Thorne relayed that he'd expressed his disappointment in Bill's parenting skills to Bill. Katie figured it hadn't gone over well. Thorne and Katie believed Will missed and needed his father. Thorne was sorry he'd mentioned Bill. Katie replied that Bill and Will hadn't spent much time alone. Thorne believed that Bill was a resourceful guy, and the father and son would find a way to entertain themselves. And so will we, Thorne added. Katie and Thorne made out on the sofa. She took his hand to lead him upstairs. Her phone rang. No, Thorne said. Katie stated that she had to. She answered the phone for Bill and asked if Will was okay. Sort of, Bill replied. Bill said Will didn't want to play with his cars or do any of the things they had done before, and it wasn't working. Katie said Bill was the father, and Will was Bill's son. Katie was sure that Bill would figure it out. Katie heard Will asking if she was on the phone and when he could go home. She told Bill to tell the child that she'd pick him up in the morning. Bill replied that she'd heard the boy, and Will didn't want to be there. Bill wanted to take Will home. Katie suggested dessert. Bill had already given the child dessert and refused to bribe the boy to spend time with his father. Katie had put books in Will's bag. It was near bedtime, and she suggested that Bill and Will read together. Bill stated that they'd have to do it another time. Katie asserted that she'd asked for just one night, and Thorne was already there. In the background, Will said he didn't want to stay at Bill's house. Bill told Katie that he'd been right about it being too soon. He offered to make it up to her and watch Will while Katie and Thorne went to dinner. Katie said Bill was the father, not the babysitter. Bill replied that she was the mother, and the child wanted her. Katie had faith that Bill could handle it. Bill asked what would happen if Will woke up at night. Katie said Bill would comfort Will and sleep in the same room with him. Katie asked Bill to be patient and tell Will that his mother loved him and would see him in the morning. Katie hurried off the phone before Bill could say more. Back at Bill's house, Bill and Will stared at each other. At Katie's house, Thorne asked if Bill was having problems. Frustrated, Katie replied that Bill might be a little rusty. Thorne thought she'd given good advice. Katie was sorry. She'd wanted the night to be their night. Thorne refused to let a call from her ex ruin anything. She said that she'd wanted them to focus on each other, but he replied that he never expected her to turn off her focus on Will. It was one of the things he admired about her. I'm in love with you, Thorne stated. Katie was surprised. She hadn't expected him to say that. He said life was short, and he didn't want to hold back feelings. He wanted to tell her and show her what she meant to him. The two kissed, and Thorne took her hand to lead her upstairs. There was a knock at the door. Thorne rolled his eyes. Bill called out from the other side of the door. Katie opened it. Bill and Will stood on the doorstep. Bill said the child had insisted upon going home. Will nodded in agreement, and Katie took the child upstairs for bed. Thorne told Bill that Katie had asked for one night, and Bill couldn't even do it. Bill replied that he and Katie would do what was best for their son, regardless of any plans Thorne might have made, and it was Bill's job to look out for both of them. Thorne stated that it had been Bill's job to look after Will that night. Bill asked if Will or a botched attempt at a date was more important. Thorne asked when Bill had ever put anyone's feelings above his own and what caring about Will and Katie really meant to Bill. In Thorne's view, Katie didn't ask for much, and she couldn't even depend upon Bill for one simple thing. Thorne believed that she deserved better, and Bill asked if that was supposed to be Thorne. Blowing out candles around the room, Bill declared that the party was over. Thorne didn't think Bill even realized how lucky he was to have the precious time with Will. Thorne wished he still had it. Thorne believed that kids didn't push to make one go away, but instead, to see if one would stay. He didn't think Bill understood that and said Bill had let his son down that night. Bill replied that he might be interested in what Thorne had to say if Bill had an interest in dresses. Thorne asserted that he didn't have respect for Bill as a person or as a parent, but Bill had a great kid who loved and needed his father. Entering the room, Katie agreed that it was true. Katie apologized to Thorne for the abrupt end to their evening. They kissed, and Thorne exited. Katie demanded to know what had happened. Bill said Will had wanted his mother. Katie asked if Bill had tried, and he